Christmas is coming. The air is getting crisp. Twinkling lights are appearing in windows. The scent of your very own Christmas cake baking in the oven. A true sign that the holidays are here. This isn't just any cake. It's a tradition, a centerpiece for your festive table made by your own hands. Imagine the pride when you slice into it. Start now. Let the flavors mature for the big day. Something special to share with your family and with your friends. This recipe is straightforward. I'll take the fear out of making this classic bake. We'll go through every single step together, nice and slowly. No need to rush. From mixing to decorating, it's a lovely, mindful activity that brings Christmas spirit. First things first, let's gather all our lovely ingredients together. Having everything measured out and ready to go makes the whole process so much smoother and more enjoyable. For the fruit mixture, you will need 1 kilogram of mixed dried fruit. I like to use a mix of currants, raisins, sultanas. You will also want 175 grams of glacé cherries, which we will chop, and 175 grams of ready-to-eat dried apricots, also chopped. To give it that citrusy zing, we need the zest of 1 large orange and 1 large lemon. And for the optional tipple, 150 milliliters of brandy, sherry, or rum. If you prefer a non-alcoholic version, you can use the same amount of unsweetened orange juice instead. Now for the cake mixture itself. You will need 225 grams of unsalted butter, softened at room temperature. We will be creaming this with 225 grams of light muscovado sugar, which gives a lovely caramel note. You will also need 4 large eggs at room temperature, and it helps to beat them lightly in a small bowl first. For the dry ingredients, we have 225 grams of plain flour. You will need 1 teaspoon of mixed spice and 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. To give the cake a lovely dark colour and richness, we will add 1 tablespoon of black treacle. Finally, you will need 50 grams of blanched almonds, which we will chop up roughly. Let's talk about the equipment you will need. The star of the show is the tin, a 20 centimetre, 8-inch round deep cake tin. A square tin of the same size will also work perfectly well. Plenty of baking parchment to line the tin properly. A large mixing bowl, a wooden spoon, a stand mixer, a set of measuring scales, measuring spoons, a measuring jug, a fine grater for zesting the orange and lemon, a fine meshed sieve for the flour and spices, a small bowl for beating the eggs, a palette knife or the back of a spoon for leveling the mixture in the tin. Later on, a thin skewer will be crucial for testing if the cake is perfectly baked all the way through. The first and perhaps most important step for a truly magnificent Christmas cake is to soak the fruit. This is what makes the cake incredibly moist and flavorful, so please don't be tempted to skip it. You should aim to do this at least 12 hours before you plan to bake, but doing it the day before is even better. Simply place your mixed dried fruit into a large mixing bowl. Add the chopped glacé cherries and the chopped dried apricots. Add the finely grated zest of your orange and the finely grated zest of your lemon. Give it a good stir to distribute the citrus oils. Now it's time to add your chosen liquid. Pour over the 150 milliliters of brandy. Pour 150 milliliters of sherry. Pour 150 milliliters of rum, or 150 milliliters of unsweetened orange juice. Give everything a really thorough stir, making sure all the fruit is coated in the liquid. Cover the bowl with a clean tea towel, or cover it with a lid. Then just leave it on your kitchen counter to work its magic. The fruit will plump up beautifully as it absorbs all that lovely liquid, becoming juicy and full of flavour. Every time you walk past, you will get a wonderful festive scent that will fill you with excitement for the bake ahead. This simple step is the secret to a perfect cake. When you are ready to start baking, the very first thing to do is to preheat your oven. Set your oven to 140 degrees Celsius, which is 275 degrees Fahrenheit, or gas mark 1. This is what we call a low and slow temperature, and it is essential for a rich fruit cake. It allows the cake to cook through to the middle without the outside burning or the fruit catching before the batter is set. A hot oven would create a hard crust and leave the inside raw, which would be such a shame after all your lovely preparation work. So, get that oven on first. Next, we need to prepare the cake tin. You will need to double line the base and sides of your 20 centimetre, 8-inch deep tin with baking parchment. To do this, draw around the base of the tin on the parchment twice and cut out the 2 circles. For the sides, cut a long strip of parchment. Make it about 5 centimetres, 2 inches taller than the height of your tin and long enough to go all around the inside. Grease the tin lightly with butter first. Then press 1 circle into the base. Fit the strip around the sides and place the second circle on top. This double layer acts as insulation. Now for the fun part, making the cake batter. Make sure your 225 grams of butter is lovely and soft. Place the softened butter into a large mixing bowl. Place the 225 grams of light muscovado sugar into the bowl. Using a wooden spoon, cream them together, or use an electric mixer on a medium speed to cream them. Keep going for about 5 minutes. You are looking for the mixture to become light in colour, pale and fluffy. This process incorporates air into the mixture, which is the foundation for a well-risen, beautifully textured cake. Scrape down the sides of the bowl a few times to ensure everything is evenly mixed. The next step is to add the 4 large eggs. The secret here is to do it very, very slowly. If you add them all at once, the mixture is likely to curdle, which means it will look split and lumpy. To avoid this, add the eggs one at a time, beating well after each addition until it is fully incorporated. I find it helps to add a tablespoon of your measured flour with the last egg. Take your time with this stage. Patience here will be rewarded with a smooth, beautifully emulsified batter. It should look glossy and thick. Once the eggs are all mixed in, it is time to introduce the dry ingredients. Sift your 225 grams of plain flour directly into the bowl. Sift 1 teaspoon of mixed spice into the bowl. Sift ½ teaspoon of ground nutmeg into the bowl. Sifting is important as it aerates the flour and ensures your spices are evenly distributed with no little clumps. Now, using a large metal spoon, gently fold the flour into the wet ingredients. Or use a spatula to fold gently. Use a figure of 8 motion, cutting through the middle and bringing the spoon around the side. We want to keep all that lovely air we created, so be gentle and don't overmix. Add the 1 tablespoon of black treacle. Add the 50 grams of chopped blanched almonds. Add all of that wonderful fruit that has been soaking so patiently. The bowl will be very full now. Switch back to your sturdy wooden spoon and give it all a very thorough mix. Make sure you get right down to the bottom of the bowl to ensure the fruit and flour are evenly distributed throughout the batter. It will be a stiff mixture, but that is exactly what it should be. Your arm might get a little workout, but it is all worth it for the delicious result. Now that your beautiful fruity batter is all mixed, it is time to get it into its prepared tin. Carefully spoon the mixture into the double-lined cake tin. Close up, the double-lined tin as batter is filled. The mixture will be quite stiff, so press it down gently to remove any air pockets. Press down using the back of your spoon, or use a small palette knife. Spread the mixture out evenly, pushing it right into the corners of the tin. For a lovely flat top, make a small, shallow dip in the centre of the mixture. This helps counteract the tendency to rise in the middle. With the oven preheated to 140 degrees Celsius, 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Gas mark 1. It is time for the bake. This is where patience really is a virtue. Place the tin in the very center of the oven. The baking time will be between 4 and 4.5 hours. Yes, it is a long time, but your house will fill with the most incredible festive aroma. It is best not to open the oven door for the first 3 hours. After about 4 hours, it is time to check if your cake is ready. Open the oven door carefully and gently insert a thin skewer into the very center of the cake, pushing it all the way down to the bottom. If the skewer comes out clean, with no wet batter attached, your cake is perfectly cooked. If there is still some sticky mixture on the skewer, it needs a little longer. Put it back in the oven for another 15 minutes and then test it again. Repeat this until the skewer comes out clean. The top of the cake should be a deep, dark brown and feel firm to the touch. Once your cake is perfectly baked, turn off the oven but leave the cake inside with the door slightly ajar for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, carefully remove the hot tin from the oven and place it on a wire cooling rack. Let the cake cool completely in the tin. This is very important. A fruit cake is very fragile when warm, and trying to remove it too soon could cause it to break apart. It will take several hours to cool completely, so just leave it be and admire your wonderful creation. Once your cake is completely, utterly cold in its tin, and I do mean completely cold, which can take up to 12 hours, it is time to prepare it for storage. This is where the cake begins its transformation, developing that deep, rich and mature flavor that makes Christmas cake so special. The process is often called feeding the cake. First, you will need to make some small holes in the top of the cake using your trusty skewer. Poke about 8 to 10 holes, spacing them evenly over the surface, pushing the skewer about halfway down into the cake. This creates little channels for the alcohol to seep into. Now for the feeding part. This is entirely optional, but highly recommended for a traditional moist cake. Take your chosen spirit. The same brandy, rum or sherry you used to soak the fruit is ideal. Measure out about 2 tablespoons very slowly and carefully. Spoon it over the top of the cake, aiming for the holes. The alcohol will gradually be absorbed, adding flavor and acting as a preservative. If you made a non-alcoholic cake with orange juice, you can simply skip this step. The initial soaking will have provided plenty of moisture and flavor. The next step is to wrap your cake up snugly for its long rest. This is crucial for keeping it moist and allowing the flavors to mellow and mature. First, take the cake out of its tin. Leave the lining paper on, as it provides an extra layer of protection. Now wrap the entire cake, paper and all, in a double layer of fresh baking parchment. Make sure it is completely covered. Then, wrap the parchment-covered cake tightly in a layer of aluminium foil. This creates an airtight package, locking in all the moisture and flavor and protecting it from any stray kitchen smells. Store your beautifully wrapped cake in a cool, dark and dry place. An airtight container like a cake tin or a plastic box is the perfect home for it. A cool cupboard or a larder is ideal, but avoid the fridge as it can dry the cake out. You can continue to feed your cake every 1 to 2 weeks in the run-up to Christmas. Simply unwrap it, spoon over another 1 to 2 tablespoons of alcohol, and wrap it back up again. Stop feeding it about 1 week before you plan to ice it. This wonderful process turns a lovely cake into an absolutely spectacular one, ready for its festive unveiling. About a week before you want to serve your cake, it is time for the exciting decoration stage. First, we apply a layer of marzipan. This creates a smooth surface for the icing and adds a lovely almond flavor. Start by brushing the top and sides of your unwrapped cake with a little warmed and sieved apricot jam. This acts as a glue. You will need a 500 grams, 1 pound 2 ounces, block of marzipan. Dust your work surface with a little icing sugar. Roll out about 2/3 of the marzipan into a circle large enough to cover the top of the cake. Use the cake tin as a guide to trim it to the perfect size. Carefully lift the top piece onto the cake. Measure the height and circumference of your cake. Roll out the remaining marzipan into a long rectangle to fit around the sides. Trim it neatly. Wrap it around the cake and press gently onto the apricot jam. Smooth the join where the top and side pieces meet with your fingertips. Leave the marzipan cake to dry for at least 24 hours and up to 3 days in a cool, dry place. This drying time prevents the oil from the marzipan from seeping through and discoloring your white icing. When it comes to icing, you have a choice. Ready to roll fondant gives a very smooth, modern finish. Traditional royal icing gives a classic smell. If using fondant, brush a little cool oil painter over the marzipan. Apply the fondant over the cake as you did the marzipan. For royal icing, buy a ready-made cake or make your own. Spread royal icing over the top and sides with palette. Use the back of a spoon to pull the icing up into little peaks for a snowy effect.